Are parents to blame if their adult children no longer want a relationship with them? Who's to blame? Is it the parent's fault, the child's fault, both people's fault? Who's to blame? I've heard a lot of people say that if their adult child no longer wants a relationship with them, the parent is absolutely 100% the blame. It is their fault, they're responsible, and they're the reason why the relationship dynamic is the way it is. And although I understand why people are making that statement, I absolutely do not agree with it. Yes, parents have a very big role in the lives of their children, and parents have a lot of influence in the lives of their children. But if we're being honest, it takes a village to raise children. And to say that anytime an adult child no longer wants a relationship with their parents and make this blanket statement across the board as if every child and every parent relationship is the exact same, that can't be true, because human beings are too complex to make that blanket statement and it be true across the board, across every relationship, every parent-child relationship dynamic. Although parents do have a great deal of influence in their children's lives, the other people that assist parents in raising their children, they have a influential role in the lives of their children. And it's 2025. Let's be honest and let's be real. The internet, these social media streets, they also have a great deal of influence in the lives of our children. I happen to be a parent of an adult child, and I am currently in a place where the relationship is estranged, for lack of a better term. I am currently experiencing parental alienation. What does that mean? Parental alienation is where your child is being brainwashed by other people to turn against their parent. Usually this happens in a dynamic where two parents are together and married and they have children, and there is a separation where maybe the parents separate, meaning maybe they live in two different households, or maybe they separate and get a divorce. And when these type of things happen, one parent that tends to be more emotionally immature will feel threatened. They will experience things on the inside of them that they don't know how to deal with in a mature way. And they will begin to develop a desire to hurt the other parent. And by hurt the other parent, I mean deeply hurt the other parent. And they know the only way they can do that is by disrupting the relationship that they have with their child. So they will take that child and they will subtly plant seeds to alter the relationship dynamic between that child and the other parent. And over time, it erodes the trust and the love and the care that that child once had for that other parent. To say that anytime an adult child no longer wants a relationship with their parent is absolutely not true. And I also say that because as an adult child myself, once upon a time, I was really bothered, really deeply hurt by the relationship dynamic that I had with my own father. And I was really bothered with the relationship dynamic that I saw between my mother and father. I didn't like the way my father treated my mother. And for a long time, I kind of had a grudge against my father. And it wasn't until I began to experience issues in my own relationship dynamic between myself and my child that I went to therapy. And when I went to therapy, I realized some things that I don't think very many humans realize or understand. I realized that as a human being, there are emotional needs that human beings have, and they must be met in a healthy way. And when they're not met in a healthy way, will human beings will begin to adapt in unhealthy ways to get their emotional needs met. They will begin to adapt into unhealthy personality traits and characteristics to get their emotional needs met. And as I continued in my journey of therapy, I realized that in my childhood, my emotional needs were not met. And I did, like I'm explaining to you, I began to adapt. I began to alter who I was at my core to feel that sense of belonging, that sense of connection within my family. And it happened at such an early stage in my life, I didn't even realize that it was happening or the impact that it was having on my life. It became normal because that was all I had ever known. And it stayed with me and it traveled with me into my adolescent years and my teenage years and early adult life. And it traveled with me into parenthood and all the way up until my early 40s, where I found myself going to therapy to improve the relationship between myself and my daughter. And as I became aware of the fact that I had emotional needs that weren't met in my childhood, and I learned how important these emotional needs were to my well-being mentally and emotionally, and I began to start really paying attention to my behaviors, my traits, my characteristics, my patterns, so to speak. And I began to realize how dysfunctional, how hurtful and harmful some of my behavior was towards myself and my daughter, and I'm sure within other relationship dynamics. I really became aware of how lost I had become within my own self. And I really had to dig deep to find me again, to find who is Christina? Who is Christina? Where is she at? What does she like? What does she not like? Why is she responding like this? What's a healthier way to respond? What issues or what experiences did I have in my childhood that created this internal wound within me that have caused me to put up these defense mechanisms, these walls to keep myself protected and to help me feel safe? And as I began to chip away at these walls and this dysfunction, I began to find myself. But not only did I find myself, I began to give the same grace to my parents. Why? Because I continued to dig and realize that, yes, I had experiences in my childhood that negatively impacted me, but so did my parents. Yes, in my childhood, my emotional needs were not met, but my parents' emotional needs were not met. So if we're going to say that anytime an adult child doesn't want a relationship with their parent, the parent is to blame, well, who's to blame for the parent that is also experiencing issues in the relationship between themselves and their child? Would we also blame the grandparents and then start blaming the great-grandparents? I mean, where do we stop at with the blame? Because the parents didn't come into the world with this dysfunctional behavior. It was adaptive. They learned and adapted to these dysfunctional ways of being in order to feel that sense of connection, that sense of belonging that every human being is instinctively designed to have in their life. So if the parent is to blame anytime an adult child does not want a relationship with their parent, where does the blame stop? Because if we pass the blame to the parents, I'm confident the parent can then do the same thing and say, well, look at all these unpleasant experiences I had in my childhood. Then that means my parents are to blame. And those parents can do the exact same thing. So the question is, where does the blame stop? I think a better way to look at this is to realize that you, as a parent, you have experienced things in your life in your childhood, in different relationship dynamics, especially with your parents that have shaped and molded you into the person you are today. And many of us have these unhealthy behaviors that have negatively impacted us, that are also negatively impacting the relationship between ourselves and our children. And no parent is intentionally inflicting pain on their children. And I know somebody is listening to this video saying, you don't know what my parents did to me. If you knew what my parents did to me, you would know they are doing it on purpose. And I want you to know, I don't know what your parents did to you, but I want you to know, whatever it is your parents have said or done, I know they're not doing it on purpose, even if it seems like they did. Because if you ever had the opportunity to sit down and understand the experiences that your parent or parents had in their childhood that shaped and molded them into the person that they are today, you would understand that they are hurting so bad, they don't know another way. Your parents, they didn't have the resources and tools that you have available today. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have social media. If your parents and or grandparents had the internet and had access to the resources that are making you believe that if your parents treated you a certain way and made you feel a certain way, then you should just discontinue the relationship with them. If your parents and grandparents had those same resources, they would probably be doing the same thing that you're doing. Now, this is not to say that if your parent is being physically abusive to you, sexually abusive to you, emotionally abusive to you, that you should endure abuse. That's not what I'm implying. But what I am saying is that I know your parents did the best they could based on the resources and tools that they had and the experiences that they had in their life that have molded and shaped them into the person they became. No parent, and I don't care what they've said and I don't care what they've done, no parent is intentionally inflicting pain on their children, because that's not how healthy people operate. That's how hurt people operate. And when people are hurting, they behave in ways that are hurtful and harmful to other people. So I wanted to come and share this with you because I know there are many parents that are having experiences similar to mine, where they have children that have, for one reason or another, come into this mindset of, I don't want a relationship with my parent anymore. I hate my parents. My parents did X, Y, and Z, and it's unforgivable. I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay if your child doesn't want a relationship with you. It's not an enjoyable experience, but it's okay. Take the best care of you that you can. I want to encourage you to go to therapy. Why? Because you have said and done things in the relationship dynamic between yourself and your child that has hurt your child. And the reason you said and did those things is because you, as the parent, are hurting. And hurt people are the only people that go around hurting other people that are unable to recognize and acknowledge that they are saying and or doing things that are hurtful and or harmful to other people without taking accountability for it. Our parents grew up in a world where therapy, where counseling was seen as something that crazy people did. Or I know for me as an African American woman, something that Black people didn't do. But I want you to know that therapy is a great resource and a great tool to help you heal from the pain that is negatively impacting you and the relationship dynamic between you and your child. But if you as a parent don't ever take the time to heal you, you can't fault your child for not wanting a relationship with you. But even if you do heal you and your child continues to choose to not want a relationship with you, you have to accept that. And it's a hard pill to swallow. How do I know? Because I'm kind of in that same boat. And it hurts. But you don't get to choose what somebody else does with their life, even your children, especially once they become adults. So again, I want to encourage you to take the best care of you that you can take care of you. I want to encourage you to go to therapy to heal. You have probably had experiences in your childhood that have been traumatizing, that have neglected and possibly abused you emotionally, that have altered you at your core, and you don't even realize it. How do I know? Because I've had the same experience. Maybe not the exact same experiences, but as a child, I had no idea that I had emotional needs. As an adult, I had no idea that I had emotional needs. As a parent, I had no idea that I had emotional needs. And it wasn't until I went to therapy that I realized I, as a human being, have emotional needs. And when they go unmet, it creates so much dysfunction inside of human beings. It's mind blowing. You have emotional needs and they need to be met. And if they weren't met in your childhood by your parent, as an adult, it is your responsibility to learn how to get those needs met and to heal yourself so you can stop passing the trauma on to your children. And hopefully, one day your children will see the turn, the change, the shift in you, and they will desire to work on repairing the relationship with you. But if you just continue to stay stuck in this mindset of, I'm the parent, everything I say and or do is right, that's not going to help the relationship dynamic. And your children will probably continue to walk around with this mindset of, I don't want a relationship with my parent. My parent is to blame. And although I know that's not 100% the truth, there is a lot of truth in it. To say that anytime an adult child does not want a relationship with their parent, the parent is 100% to blame, it's not 100% true. Everybody has a role in a relationship dynamic, regardless of whether or not you're a child or not. And it's important that all people in relationships, including parent-child dynamics, learn how to become aware of the ways in which they are showing up in unhealthy ways that are negatively impacting the relationship so that the relationship can be repaired and healed. And until parents and children get to that place, there's going to be a lot of children walking around with these mindsets of, my parents to blame for the fact that we don't have a relationship. And if you as a parent don't ever go to therapy to heal, to work on making you a better person, it's probably not going to shift the dynamic in the relationship between you and that child that thinks you are to blame. So again, I want to encourage you to go and seek therapy, to seek wise counsel by a trained professional that can help you to unpack what is keeping you stuck in this place that is hurtful and harmful to you and your children. Because you deserve to heal and you deserve to have a healthy relationship with your children. So until the next time, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.